One more stop on the Lakers' long road trip east in what is becoming a long season. And it happens to be Milwaukee, home to the best team in the league. Mike Muscala and the Lakers, chance to get them up and test themselves against the Bucks, who were beaten on their new home floor Sunday, but they haven't lost twice in a row in Wisconsin all season long. The All-Star Chris Middleton and the Bucks ready to go live here on NBA TV. Welcome in, everybody. It's the Auto Trader pregame show for a Tuesday night double header. Good to have you with us. I'm Matt Weiner. This is the Czar, Mike Fratello, Sekou Smith from NBA.com. Good to have you as well. Unfortunately for us, we will not see LeBron James or Giannis Antetokounmpo tonight. LeBron is out with a sore left groin, I should say. The Freak will sit because of that ankle he tweaked on Sunday against Philadelphia.
I'm not so sure that it's the ankle that much, or is it that time for him to start to take a rest as they come down the back stretch. The only thing you have to be concerned about is, do you want to give away a position in the standings to wind up resting your best player?
Yeah, and I think for LeBron, it's a little bit different. We've hit that point in the season now, Coach, where it would probably be prudent to find some spaces for LeBron to take a break. And if that groin's bothering him at all, you make sure he's in street clothes. Giannis, on the other hand, that was a legitimate concern the other night when he went down. I was watching that game, and I thought, you talk about the air coming out of the building, and a whole city panicking, because anything that happens to Giannis between now and the end of the regular season puts their playoff, scenarios into disarray. So you have to be very careful if you're Mike Budenholzer with how you handle a late season tweak even for Giannis.
Obviously, completely different stakes for these two teams at this point in the season. Personally, I'm just happy the Lakers aren't calling it load management, right? They can call it whatever they want, just don't call it load management. For a look ahead, we're joined by Katie George, sideline reporter for the Bucks. Katie, we appreciate the time. Giannis continued playing after tweaking the ankle on Sunday, but he is out tonight. Did the injury get worse on the off day, or is this, as we've suggested here, a decision more about being cautious?
I don't think it got necessarily worse. We talked to head coach Mike Budenholzer pregame, and he said that he took the off day, came in today before shoot around, and they just evaluated it, and it was Giannis's call that he said, I just don't think that I can go right now. That news did come after LeBron was announced out as well. So I think that they're just being extra cautious with this ankle. If they don't feel like he has to go tonight to get this win against the Lakers, I don't feel like they're going to really push him.
Katie, with the injuries, this time of year and some of the new faces they've added, does a game like this give Mike Budenholzer a little bit of an opportunity to see some of those new guys, maybe see a DJ Wilson or someone else in an extended role where you can kind of get a feel for what that guy might bring down the road?
Absolutely, and it gives them experience to get those playoff minutes. They're going to need DJ Wilson. They're going to need George Hill. They're going to need some of these role players like a Pat Connaughton to step in, give big minutes, and contribute, especially when we've got Malcolm Brogdon out right now. That's a guy that you hate to see go down 6 to potentially 8 weeks with that plantar fascia tear. They're going to have guys step up and kind of fill that void for Brogdon. So this is another good opportunity to see Tony Snell, Nico Mirotic, if they step into the starting lineup, what they can do in their absences.
Katie, this is Mike Fratello. Are there any players out there who have come back perhaps from playing in Europe that they might look at to fill Brogdon's place until he's ready, whenever that time is?
They actually just signed Tim Frazier earlier today. He signed that contract just before shoot-around. He was a guy who missed out on the final roster spot during training camp. He was a guy that they really, really liked, but they ended up going with Christian Wood, who was a big that they felt like they could develop. Tim Frazier actually didn't get picked back up by the Pelicans after the All-Star break, so it just kind of fell into their laps that this was a guy who was with them, knows their system well, great personality, knows the team already, can come in, and he's actually going to probably play tonight because he already knows the play calls, the defense, the offense. So I think it's going to be a really good fit. And just, he's no Malcolm Brogdon by any means. I don't think you can really replace a Malcolm Brogdon, but can you have a guy come in, give you 8 points here or there, have 2 or 3 guys kind of fill that role? That's what we're going to have to be able to see.
And realistically on Brogdon, I know the initial prognosis was 6 to 8 weeks. Do they think they're looking at maybe second round of the playoffs for a return?
That's what they're saying right now. You know, we've heard as early as 4 weeks potentially for some people in their return. It's actually interesting. Pau Gasol dealt with this back in 2013, right before the playoffs. So I'm curious to see in his veteran role, just adding experience mentally, physically, emotionally for these younger guys, how he can help Malcolm Brogdon along in this recovery process, because they're going to need to get to that second round of the playoffs if Malcolm Brogdon is going to want to come back healthy and be able to contribute.
Katie George, sideline reporter for the Bucks and part of our broadcast tonight here on NBA TV. Thanks for the time, and have a good night in Milwaukee.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, injuries, obviously, at this point in the season, you don't want to deal with this. The Malcolm Brogdon one could be significant if it drags into, say, the second round conference semifinals or conference finals even.
It's a major injury for them because this guy can do a little bit of ball handling. This guy can knock down flat out. He spaces the floor. When you've got a guy like Giannis who can get into the lane the way he can see over the top of the defense, there's no pass going back out that he can't make because he simply elevates and throws over the top of the defense. So a Brogdon, a guy who can catch it and shoot it, catch it, show it, and go by a guy a little bit, and even if they have to have him bring it down occasionally, just a very valuable player for them.
And with all those new pieces, this is a team that Mike Budenholzer would like to develop in terms of depth. The other day against Philadelphia, when Giannis was off the floor, only 12 minutes of the game, they were on minus 17 during that stretch.
Yeah, they have a very real concern in terms of who's your catalyst when he's not on the floor. And Eric Bledsoe's had a fantastic season. You've got another all-star in Chris Middleton. But Brogdon, coach, was really a guy you could look to maybe initiate some offense for you when Giannis is not out there. Not having him certainly changes that dynamic for Mike Budenholzer. You got to find now a secondary ball handler or somebody that can generate offense when Giannis isn't on the floor, or you run the risk of having those lapses. When he's not out there, you're very vulnerable.
Matt, just thinking back what you just said about minus, 17 when he was off the floor. Didn't that sound like the Cavaliers a year ago when LeBron was off the floor or LeBron was on the floor?
Yeah.
That's how much they mean to the offense being able to run and everybody being able to get a shot when they're on or off the floor.
Well, he has the best net rating in the NBA, and he's coming off a 52-point game in a loss to Philadelphia on Sunday. And he is at the center of this simplified Mike Budenholzer offense, which is very much get Giannis into the paint and either score or kick it to one of those three-point shooters.
Well, it's nice when you have a player who can get where he wants to go on the floor, as we just mentioned, another guy who is able to do that, and special talent that comes along once every so often.
They're already on pace to, they've already hit more than 200 more threes than last season.
Yeah, watch this now. As he gets in the paint, watch the three defenders in the green. He knows exactly where Brogdon is, elevates, winds up hitting him. Now you have Mirotic up on top. He's going to float a little bit deeper towards the baseline. And guess who winds up giving him the ball? When you got Brogdon coming off the screen and you see your man in the corner. Look at that quick release before the defender can get to him and knock it back down. Three-point shooter, three-point shooter. Then all of a sudden a little outside handoff. And watch what happens here as you have the ability to suddenly elevate inside the three-point line, but still the dribble handoff creates a shot. And once again, when you have the ability to get it on the handoff, doesn't need much room. Mirotic elevates behind the three-point line, knocks it down. Mirotic has to pick up some of that slack for Brogdon.
You know, they took just under 30% of their field goal attempts last season from three-point range. That number is up to 42% this season for Milwaukee. But there's a conventional wisdom, and folks are right to be skeptical because until you see it work in the playoffs over an extended run, you just don't know. There's a conventional wisdom that maybe you can wall off Giannis and slow this team down in a 7-game series.
Well, you have to be an elite team to do it, Matt, and that's the problem. Do you have the personnel to take not only Giannis out of it, Coach, but then you got Middleton and some of these other guys and these large shooters, Brook Lopez and these guys to worry about? I don't know if it's as easy in the flesh as it is in theory.
Right.
And we've seen teams do it in the regular season. You got to be able to do that 4 times in a playoff series. That's where that plan runs into some concerns for me. I think the other most important part about this, Milwaukee doesn't have a group that's won a series yet together. So they're going to be looking and searching for something in that first round as kind of a milestone. They got to get one series under their belt as a group to say, all right, we're not just the best regular season team in the league this year. We're the best team, and we're hunting bigger fish. We're trying to make a statement here in the postseason. So whoever gets them, whatever your best laid plan is to stop the Bucks, it's going to run up against their ambitions and their grand plans to play deep into these playoffs as well.
A win tonight would be the Bucks' 53rd of the season. They haven't had that many in a single season since 85-86. This is a historic sort of Bucks team. As for their opponent tonight, last we saw the Lakers, they were dropping to 1-3 on their East Coast trip with LeBron James' potential game winner blocked by Mario Hezonja on just his 7th block of the entire NBA season, which was par for the course as far as the Lakers season is concerned. And with LeBron out tonight and on a minutes restriction, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, both done for the season. The Lakers are on pace to equal last season's.
Body up close to him, and LeBron had already gone up and was on his way down. He was in big trouble at that point, and he knew it. He had no bailout pass at the end. A terrific defensive play. You got to give him credit.
Splendid defensive work, too, from DeAndre Jordan, who got a nice little defensive assist, shoving Hezonja into that space to where he's perfect timing, gets a hand on that ball, no foul. But you know what? Let's be honest about what we've seen from the Lakers and LeBron. He's one man showing it right now with all the injuries and all the other guys out. And this is not 28, 29, 30-year-old physical prime LeBron. This is an older version. Certainly not diminished in the way that some other players have been at this stage of their careers, but not the same whirlwind LeBron we're used to taking over games and taking over at this point in the season.
This isn't the 2007 LeBron dragging the Cavaliers to the NBA Finals.
No.
Matt, real quick, I've been in both situations with a really good team that when you went on the floor each night, you thought you were just going to beat everybody that you played that night, that kind of confidence. I've also been with a lot of teams that were fine line, 500 teams or a game or two over. Every night you have to come when you coach those teams. Every night the players have to come, and it's like it's the most important game to them because they're trying to survive in the playoff race. And that's how the Lakers were playing. Remember when they were in 4th place in the Western Conference? And once LeBron went down with that injury and missed those 18 games, there's not the same sense of urgency, the same sense of togetherness. The defense has fallen completely apart. And now they can't make a shot on top of it. You're in trouble.
Well, maybe the persistent reports that the Lakers were ready to trade everybody in the entire organization.
That may have something to do with it.
Factored into that as well. Well, at least somebody in LA is having fun. When we come back, how the Clippers have remained relevant in the West thanks to their record-setting and sometimes buzzer-beating bench stars.